Well, inflation at the grocery store is the focus of a new national survey released this morning. Here to break it down for us is CTV's Scott Hurst. And Scott, what do Canadians think is behind the rise in prices? I have a pretty good idea, though.
Good morning, Roger. Well, Canadians are split on who to blame. It's safe to say, though, the one thing most of us can agree on, it's been extremely difficult to go to the grocery store over the last couple of years with inflation pushing prices higher and higher on so many popular items. And of course, the grocery store is the place we can't avoid, but Canadians have been hyper-focused looking for deals. So a new Leger poll looks at Canadians' thoughts and opinions on grocery prices, and we're split on exactly where to place the blame. The largest chunk place the blame on global phenomena. That's global inflation and supply chain issues. That's 27%, followed very closely by 26% of respondents who blame grocery chains for looking to increase their profit margins, and 23% blame the federal government. Breaking that down a bit more regionally, Quebec shoppers are more likely to pinpoint supply chain issues as the primary factor for the high prices, while Albertans are more likely to blame the feds, while nearly a third of Atlantic shoppers also are placing the blame on Ottawa. But it's interesting to point out that nearly three quarters believe the federal government, Roger, should do more to help Canadians with the high price of groceries, as we've all been dealing with inflation over the past couple of years.
Absolutely. And one of the things that inflation's trending down, we saw this week, which is good news. But Canadians not buying that, are they?
Not exactly, even though we did get that promising number from the Consumer Price Index when it comes to food inflation. According to this new poll, Canadians aren't really buying it. Nearly two-thirds think inflation in groceries is still getting worse. And so despite the promising numbers we got from the Consumer Price Index that's showing grocery prices, of course, are still increasing, but at a slower pace, and that's putting downward pressure on the overall rate of inflation. The growth year over year slowed to 3.4% growth compared to nearly 5% growth in December. Canadians continuing to look for discounts, and when it comes to the question about the federal grocery rebate that came out in July of last year, just over 50% still said it wasn't helpful. 23% said it was helpful when it came to picking up certain items in the grocery aisle. So despite some promising numbers when it comes to the overall inflation, which ticked down to 2.9% growth in January, and a slower pace of inflation when it comes to food prices and food inflation, Roger, Canadians are still extremely concerned about the high cost of groceries, according to this new poll. But it's interesting to point out that this poll from Leger of more than 1,500 Canadians was taken last weekend, which was before the most recent Consumer Price Index came out earlier this week, Roger.
All right, we'll see how people are feeling next month. CTV Scott Hurst, thanks for that.
Thank you.